What a pass. Giddy underneath for JRE. The reverse and the rookie-to-rookie action. Outside the Lou Dort. He'll get the flyby. 3 on the way, and he rattles it in. SGA defended closely by Westbrook. Tough. Step back. Gets up the shot. Banks it in for the lead.
This is Lou Dort. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up, and welcome to the Uncontested podcast, coming to you live June 19th. We are a mere 4 days away from the NBA draft, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network and SI Thunder. I'm your host for the evening, Jacob Niffen. I've got Justin Peabody with me.
Hello, everybody.
I've got Kamyar Marabian here.
I'm just chilling, watching some baseball, even though I hate baseball.
And we've got Taylor Peterson, who is on mute.
I am with you, Kamyar. I absolutely despise baseball. But I watched more baseball these past 2 months since OU made it to regionals than I have probably since like middle school. When
It's
I
just
used
fun
to
to dunk on
watch
people.
the World Series every year.
It's just fun to dunk on people. I like being
Yeah,
petty.
Peyton Graham,
I'm a sore winner.
Henson throwing some heat. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a fun team.
I'm a sore winner. That's why I watch.
I like it. I like it. Well, hey, before we dive in, we're going to talk a bunch about draft rumors tonight. Before we do that, holy crap, is it a busy week? And we have you guys covered with content out the butt coming the next 5 days. This podcast tonight, Monday night, we will be on the Call-In app at 9 p.m. Central Time, talking about NBA draft, really whatever you guys want to talk about. So make sure you log into the Call-In app, make an account, follow the Uncontested. We'll also tweet out the link in case you don't have the app, but would highly encourage you to get the app. Wednesday night, draft eve, we will have our regularly scheduled 8 p.m. Central Time YouTube live stream. So hang out with us there. And then Thursday, the big day, gentlemen, draft day. We will be live starting at 6:30 p.m. with our third annual Uncontested Draft live stream. We're going to be taking you guys all the way through the first round. It's going to be a blast. Come hang out with us, regardless if you're watching at home, if you're in the States, if you're overseas, if you're in your mom's basement, if you're at a watch party. We don't care where you're watching the draft at. Pull out your phone, pull up YouTube, hang out with us as we break down all the picks, all the trades, and everything that comes with draft night. We're going to go live about 30 minutes before the draft starts. Be with you guys through the entire first round. Once the stream is over, we're going to close it, start a new stream for the Draft Night Reaction podcast. So we're going to have a crap ton.
Don't cross the streams.
Yes. Thursday's going to be busy.
Wise
boys.
advice from a dad on this Father's Day.
Friday, Taylor will be on Call-In doing draft reactions. And then next Sunday, a week from tonight, we're back here for another podcast, boys. Very, very busy week. Hey, while I have you here and while I'm talking about everything we have coming forward, everything that's happening over this next week, make sure to download the Call-In app. Join us there on Mondays and Fridays. Download the Mockout app. Enter our mock draft contest for a chance to win prizes, and be on the lookout on all of our socials because we are going to have some contests, some draft-related contests coming up for our listeners to win prizes as well. So tons of stuff coming your way. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
I think you got us covered.
I think we got it, guys. It's a lot of stuff. It is going to be the amount of time I am going to be behind a microphone this week is too damn high.
That's that's a lot. It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes of information to hook yourself up to a fire hose of information there.
There you go. It's like drinking out of a fire hose. All right. Eamon in the chat says, Taylor doing a pod on Father's Day. We also have Justin, who is a dad. So happy Father's Day to the dads on the pod. Kamyar is a dad to a couple of dogs.
I got
3 dogs,
I
not
got
a couple.
3 dogs.
So we got all the dads on the pod today. Happy
And my
Father's Day
dogs
to
are out.
everybody.
I'm not wearing any shoes.
I hate you so much.
Okay.
Happy Juneteenth as well. We should probably mention that.
Yeah, no.
Okay, now I think I've got everything covered. Let's talk.
Lots of good stuff.
Let's talk some NBA draft. Gentlemen, 4 days out. How are we feeling?
I feel great.
Anxious, excited,
Yeah.
ready for it to be here. Like so impatient, I guess would be the proper term there. What about you guys?
I feel blissful.
Blissful. That's kind of what Kamiar just said. So both of you are kind of at ease just because
Yeah.
it's pick number
Like,
2 and it's all
yes,
gravy.
Bingo. Compared to last year, where it was like way more anxious, just because you're wondering how it's going to shake out. You're wondering if there's going to be a surprise. You're wondering, is OKC going to get an opportunity to get their hands on Scotty Barnes or Jalen Suggs or none of the above? And you just don't know. Whereas this year, top 3, top 4, however you want to look at it, like I feel pretty good with any of them. Now just watch Thursday night come and Presti does something bizarre and doesn't pick any of those, and that'll give us a lot of content to talk about. But really, you look at that consensus top 3, 4, and I feel pretty good looking at it from OKC's perspective.
I mean, like you have to feel pretty good about it, right? You have the number 2 pick in the NBA draft. You conveniently have a really big guy in Jabari Smith Jr. that could play as like a stretch 4. There's no stretch 4s anymore. There's no really traditional 4s. It's just another tall guy that can shoot, that can D up a little bit with a little bit of bulk. So yeah, you have Chet, you have Paolo, and then you have Jabari, and OKC needs a big guy, and you have 3 right there for the taking. Or if you want Jaden Ivey, if you believe he's the long-term guy, if you want to get off Lou Dort in a trade to move up to 7, so you could pair Jaden Ivey down there at 2 with Josh Giddey, that could be fun. Who knows? There are endless possibilities. Endless. Besides the first one, but
They really are.
The first ones
really are.
You have the second one.
So Wednesday night show, we're going to do predictions for the draft. I feel like it's only appropriate to do that on draft eve. But right now, just kind of what are your guys' gut feelings? Like, you don't have to give me like a certain prediction of what you think are going to, just what's a gut feeling that you have about the draft that you're just like, man, I think this thing is going to happen.
Okay, so I do have one. And like I'm going back and forth on this because I have like my predictions locked in that I'll give out on Wednesday. But there's this feeling I have in my gut for this gut feeling that I just can't get over. And I really feel like the Ivy smoke maybe isn't as much smoke screen as I originally thought. Maybe there's some actual fire there. I just really think there's a world where Jaden Ivey ends up on this team come Thursday. And I'm not sure it's via the Thunder trading up from pick 12. So it's either going to be pick number 2 or the Thunder trading back. That's not an official prediction. I'll save my predictions for Wednesday's podcast, but I cannot shake this feeling I have. And maybe I'm just buying into the smoke screen. So I'm curious your guys' thoughts on that one.
Hook, line, and sinker, Taylor.
Yep. Hey,
that's right. I am a simple bass going after the worm on the hook.
My thoughts, Taylor, are you probably killed it at word count essays in high school. This man said,
"Oh my
I got
gosh.
this gut feeling in my gut for this
In
gut feeling." I was like, "Oh my god!"
I didn't
Taylor.
realize I said gut feeling. I meant to say feeling in my gut. So I'm glad you
I got
corrected me
this
there.
feeling
But
in my gut for this gut feeling.
gents.
Hey, Jaden Ivey's got some guts, and Presti's has some guts in drafting him too.
You know what a good show was back in the day? Global Guts.
Oh man, Global Guts is so much better than regular Guts.
That's 90 kids.
The aggro crap.
I remember actively rooting against other countries, and I was like, and then I grew up to be
Argentina, you son of a bitch.
And then I grew up to be an
Shout out
adult.
to all of our Argentinians.
I don't remember that on Nick Jr.
I grew up to be an adult and realized how messed up that was. I was like, man, I don't want Ireland to win. They're garbage. That was 8-year-old me, especially if USA was playing.
Dude, that block of Nickelodeon on Sunday afternoons, that was like Legends of the Hidden Temple, Global Guts, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yep.
Salute Your Shorts.
All that.
So good.
We're getting some awesome comments in the comments section tonight.
Oh boy, we're getting spam.
Oops, I didn't mean to put that up there.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Just promoting.
Stop pressing them. Stop
Oh my
pressing the
God.
comments. What are you doing?
Oh,
what are you
boy.
doing? It's
And
stuck.
it's
How do I get it out? There we go.
Stop it.
Shout out to anyone who caught that live. That
Yeah,
was gold.
go back and screenshot. It's actually gonna be on the live feed, and just post
Yeah.
it.
I
Post
was
it
trying
on
to
the
click
internet.
the
This is what the uncontested.
They were coming in too
brought to
fast.
you by this link.
Oh,
The link will
man.
be at the bottom of the
Hey, if
podcast
they
Apple
wanna-
description.
wanna
I got a
sponsor the
gut feeling
show.
Jacob doesn't know how to turn things on his computer or figure out his TV remote.
Let's hope he's not sharing his screen later tonight.
I just got malware on my
Tankathon
computer.
simulators are over.
This man clicked on like 3 of them too.
Wow.
Bonzo said, "Wow, all
Oh.
Jacob's friends showed up to the chat." Oh my goodness, this is already off the rails.
Gotta love YouTube spammers.
Woo!
Wow. Well,
I
that
mean,
was
I'm
fun.
enjoying it.
All right.
I'm having a
Anybody
good
else have a
time.
gut feeling about the draft?
I honestly, I think a lot of people are going to be more intrigued by the 12th pick than OKC's second pick.
I like that. I like that a lot. Also, Amen is asking me here about my super hot Matherin take that I eventually need to dive into. But if we are saving predictions for Wednesday, I think I'm going to save that one with one of my other super hot takes.
Such a tease.
I know it is. I know, but Jacob said we're doing it Wednesday, so we'll do predictions there. But no, I can't shake that Ivy feeling. I think it is one, and then also the whole Sohan connection. Or sorry, bad habit. Sohan, we have now confirmed. I don't know. I'm curious to your guys' thoughts. Apparently, his camp is telling everybody that they want to be in a small market like OKC, San Antonio potentially, but I also see a world where he goes even higher than that, like to, let's say Portland decides not to trade out. They don't like an offer they get. I really like his fit at pick 7. So Sohan is another one that I'm really keeping an eye on draft night as well. That connection to OKC, we'll see if it actually, it ends up resulting in something. But again, I think there's a world where he could go even higher than OKC and San Antonio pick 9.
Yeah.
I just want to say that my take on Ben Matherin is that I like him. So I just want to say that out there.
Bold take.
Bold.
I think he's a good player.
I like Matherin a lot. But like I said, I can dive into it tonight if you guys want.
Eamon wants the
What a
answers,
backtrack.
damn it. He
does?
said
Okay.
it. He
So here's
said
my
it in the
thing.
comments.
Matherin is more, I don't know. He's
What-
going to be a player that'll
I
play.
missed us for a second. What?
So
what is
Eamon
Taylor
wanted me
taking
to
us-
give. I teased this here like 2 weeks ago when I threw out that I thought Matherin will potentially be the best wing in this draft, including Jabari Smith Jr., which is very, very hot. I think, and I stand by that. That I think he potentially has the higher ceiling of Jabari Smith Jr. But I guess Jabari is more of like a bigger wing. I think where Matherin is a smaller wing. You'll see him guard some other wings, play alongside 2 guards, but also can play the guard position. So they're a little different in that sense.
Do you think
But
it's kind of like comparing? I mean, like, I don't want to like say these are guys like that are like on the same wavelength. Like this is like oranges to apples. But like, would you be suggesting one's like more like Michael Porter Jr. and one's more like Mikal Bridges, kind of like
That's
that type
fun.
of player?
But that's not even the direction I'm.
Or I guess
that's not even the
or
direction I'm
like
going.
body
Like I'm not concerned
composition.
about injuries with either of them, right? Where
Yeah.
Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
like, you're
Yeah.
taking a swing on him because of the injuries. I think my thing with Jabari Smith Jr. is we know what we're getting. He still has a lot of untapped upside. I understand he's only 18 years old, right? I know the creation concerns or probably self-creation concerns are maybe a little overblown. But even then, even if he is this like elite shooter, I think Matherin possesses the ability to become an elite scorer on the offensive end of the floor. I think the defense will come along, especially I think it's going to be big for him to be able to go to a team early on that will hold him accountable for that. Like OKC is a great example since we're an Oklahoma City Thunder podcast, but there's other teams there as well. But like imagine Matherin going 4 to Sacramento, which seems high. Or if Sacramento trades back to 6 and they take Matherin, like I don't think that would be a great opportunity for him. He wouldn't be held accountable on the defensive end, and that's where I would worry about him. Where if he is in the right position with the right team, I think he'd be fine on the defensive end of the floor. He's never going to be a great creator, but I think he possesses the ability to be an elite scorer on all 3 levels. We already have seen flashes of that. I think that's going to be more and more consistent as time goes along. So like early on, I see him more of a microwave kind of scorer. I mean, kind of like what we're seeing Trey Mann being early on after his rookie season. But eventually I see him being a go-to kind of guy. And if he's in the right position on the offensive end of the floor where he's playing with another creator like a Shea or a Giddey, like I think we could see a really special player where I think Jabari is just going to be like the ultimate. I mean, 3-and-D guy is just so overused, but like the ultimate role player where you're never going to see Jabari necessarily with the ball in his hands, with the clock winding down and clutch time, right, to get you a winning bucket. He's more so going to be the guy that the Klay Thompson potentially, right, that's you're trying to get open for that last shot, or you might see him score 30 a game because he's like, a high percentage from 3 for that game. But I think Mathern's the guy that can literally go and get you a bucket no matter what. So that's kind of like my Mathern thoughts in a nutshell. I think very, very highly of him, but it's really going to depend on, I think, where he's taken.
He got that dog in him.
He does. He does have that.
dog in him.
He has the dog in him.
That's the TLDR of what Taylor just said.
Yes.
Yes.
I think Matherin could go 5.
Ooh,
That's kind of
a
that's
little
my
spicy.
that's fun.
that's kind of my gut feeling right now for this podcast is I think Matherin could go 5 to Detroit. If Detroit doesn't move up to 4 to get Ivy, I know the really popular answer there is Keegan Murray.
Yeah.
But I could see Ivy going there.
Actually,
another.
what I thought was really interesting was this. I can't remember what I was watching earlier on today. Maybe it was Texas losing to Texas A&M. That was fun. But there was coverage about the NBA draft, and they flashed 5 players on their like, hey, look at the NBA draft. It's coming along this week. Those 5 players are what those top 4 is what you would expect, right? You have Jabari, you have Chet, you have Paolo, you have Jaden Ivey. You know who's number 5 on that graphic the entire time for ESPN?
Let me take a guess because I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Have you guys seen it, Justin and Taylor?
Nope.
Let's all take a guess. I'm taking Dyson Daniels. Justin, what's your guess?
I'm gonna go Jalen Duren.
So really bad podcasting here. I'm going to need to hear you repeat the question because I was scrolling through the chat questions.
Jesus Christ.
ESPN the other today played a graphic about the NBA draft. The top 4 prospects, as you would expect, the 3 big guys and then Jaden Ivey were there, but there was a 5th player. Do you know who that 5th player is?
Who would you guess?
Dyson Daniels is a really good guess, but I'll switch it up and I will. I know Schmitz isn't there anymore. Schmitz was very, very high on Keegan Murray, but since he's not there anymore, I'm thinking of Gavoni. I'm going to go ahead and say Shaden Sharp.
It was Dyson Daniels.
Oh, well done. Well done.
Well done.
He is skyrocketing up draft boards. I like
that was interesting.
That is interesting.
I wonder if there's if part of that maybe is the G League connection.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're probably right. It's still fun.
Yeah. He's, I think he's going to be a really good pro. Last question on draft feelings, guys. In reality, right? Let's look realistically, not something like crazy, like, oh, the Thunder are going to trade Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey on draft night. Like nothing like crazy. But realistically, what do you think would be the craziest thing OKC would do on Thursday night?
I'd say not pick it too. That it's realistic enough that it could happen, but I would be absolutely shocked if it does happen because I mean, everything Presti's talked about and having opportunities and getting to kind of control what you can control, picking it 2 other than picking it 1 is about as good as it gets if you're trying to control whatever you can control. You get to have the choice of every single draft eligible prospect -1. And I would be really surprised if they traded back, which has been, buzzed about in recent weeks, but I would be very shocked.
Justin, let me follow up on that for your craziest thing that could happen. Let's say that does happen and they're not picking at 2.
Yep.
If I just told you in a vacuum right now, OKC is not picking at 2 on draft night, do you assume they're picking at 1 or that they're sliding down the board?
I assume they're going back.
Yeah, I'd assume and specifically pick 4.
Yep, same. I would
Interesting.
assume 4, and that they get an additional asset. They feel whatever the top 4 their board is, they feel really good about all 4, and they think getting that additional asset is worth it. I hope they're ready for someone to like storm the Paycom Center, because that would probably happen. But yeah, I think that would definitely get wild.
Here, my thing about the whole like, oh, they could trade from 2 back to 4. Like, what is adequate value? You trade back, you get pick 4, and you get an unprotected pick next year? Like, when's the last time that Presti pulled off a trade where we said, that's about average value, and we didn't say, oh, he got a lot for that? Like, the past few big trades he's made,
Yeah,
Big
have
trades
been
is
like
the key there, but yes.
overwhelmingly positive in the Thunder's favor.
it's
It would have to
hard
be
to
like a
say with draft
blowaway.
night though. Like, I think draft night's a little different than in season trades, or
That's
even
fair.
or strictly player trades, I should say. Like, I don't know that the draft night moves he made last year were drastic in that it felt like he, robbed somebody.
It's fair. Taylor,
Yeah.
Comiar, do you guys have your craziest thing that could realistically happen for the Thunder on draft night?
Craziest thing realistically, I've thought about this actually a couple times. It's crossed my mind. You trade Shea. I could see that happening and rebuilding around Josh Giddey.
For what?
I don't know, but it better be a damn haul.
Yeah, my thing was like,
I think they could.
If Shea for pick number 1 straight up was available, I don't know if I'd do it.
Not in this draft.
I'm biased. I'm
don't
very
know.
biased. I think Shea is better than what Jabari Smith Jr. could be.
Now, I'm not saying they're gonna trade Shea, but I'm saying, like, realistically,
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. Right?
happen.
Like, it could happen.
It could.
Now, like, we all say it's untouchable. We've all said, oh, Shea's untouchable.
Yeah.
Right? Shea's untouchable. Josh Giddey's untouchable for the next foreseeable future. But I mean, at the same time, like, anything could happen as far as like what
We thought Paul George was untouchable.
We don't
Right.
know. We don't know what's going on in Presti's mind. We don't know his vision for the future. We don't know if he wants to compete next year, this year, in 3 years down the road, when everything is together. I don't know, but
Tinfoil hat. Shea
can't-
was so upbeat in his postseason press conference because he knew he was finally getting traded and getting out of Oklahoma City and going to a big market.
Finally
He
free.
can't wait.
Tanking is toxic.
Go ahead and clip that out of context and just
Yep.
go ahead and
All the
share that
aggregators, go ahead and get
That's
it
right.
now.
The Uncontested are pro trading Shea.
Taylor, do you have your craziest realistic draft night scenario for OKC?
I am certainly with Justin's line of thinking that trading from 2 in general, especially trading back, I think would probably be the craziest. But another one that's right up there for me that I can't decide if it's crazier or not is the whole using pick 12 and whatever other assets, whether they're current players, future picks, and most likely a combination of both, to trade up and get presumably pick number 4 for Jaden Ivey. That would probably be the craziest in my opinion. So you're taking one of Chet or Jabari at pick 2 and then finding some way to just unload all the assets to trade up to pick number 4 to get Ivy as well. If the Thunder were able to get Ivy and one of Chet or Jabari on draft night, that would be very, very crazy in a very, very great and exciting way.
Yeah, that was you stole mine, but that was mine as well. Moving up from 12 up to 4, I think that
would be crazy.
Kind of crazy talk, but it could happen. I just put a very, very small percentage on it. I would call you absolutely crazy if Jonathan Gavoni hadn't floated it on ESPN.
That's a good point.
The Kings are the Kings.
Kang's always going to Kings.
Oh, okay. So maybe Just really quick before we transition, though, I'm thinking of Kevin O'Connor's. We talked a little bit about this on Friday's call-in. Jacob, you and I were talking a little bit about this, but Kevin O'Connor floated out that, on Friday, his mock draft update, that he can confirm that he's heard similar reports to what Gavoni mentioned there that you just said. But then he kind of floated out hypotheticals and mentioned, what if the Thunder just go ahead and take Ivy at 2 and also trade up for Sharp? Would that be crazier than taking like Jabari or Chet at 2 and then trading up for Ivy?
Them trying to get both Ivy and Shaden Sharp is crazy to me.
I think so too.
That
would be the craziest.
I wouldn't be talking on our live stream because my jaw would be on the floor. I would just be like, what the hell just happened?
Well, okay. So we talked about this on Friday. And I'm curious, Justin and Kamir's thoughts, but Jacob brought up a really great point in our call-in on Friday that if that were to really happen, and again, this was more so Kevin O'Connor floating this out rather than him reporting it, but if the Thunder were to take both of those players, to Kamir's earlier point, would you guys agree that probably means that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is out the door?
It would be a very crowded backcourt. And I don't think that would be the best use of the assets that you have, given the other obvious needs on the roster. That, yeah, I would kind of expect to see something related to Shai being moved elsewhere.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just I don't know. It would make sense. I mean, like, you've already got a lot of ball handlers on the team. Better teams have better ball handlers and better ball movement. So it's kind of hard to sit around and look at it, because Shai can play on the wing. He can play the 3. He played the 3 for basically the entire season in the CP3 Dennis Schroeder season.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, we've seen him play in a variety of positions, and he's played in a variety of positions for OKC. So I mean, we could say it's a front court, but he could also play in the wing too.
It always blows me away when I realized this earlier this season, and still just kind of crazy. Shai and Jaylen Brown are the same height. Right, obviously not the same exact size, but
40
the same
pounds difference in muscle.
Yeah,
but still, it's fascinating. And then Josh Giddey is like, almost 7, but it's fun to think about. But again, I see some comments here in the chat. We aren't thinking this is happening.
Yeah.
But to Jacob's question, what would be the most shocking but yet somewhat realistic situation to occur on draft night? KOC's hypothetical there. I think that might be the case.
Once you are on the couch, still awake at 2 a.m. and you get a wash bomb that says PG's been traded from OKC to the Clippers, pretty much you believe anything could happen. So I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there.
For the record, I wasn't awake on the couch. I was asleep in Boston and woke up to literally like 50 text messages. Nick tried to call me like 7 times.
I just kept on saying alert, alert, alert in the Slack.
I woke up like 30 to 45 minutes after. Yeah. And then I remember like Jacob waking up 2 hours later. He's like, oh my God. And he was like, yeah, Nick tried to call me like 8 times.
Yeah, Nick tried to call me. The very first thing I saw on my phone that morning when I woke up was Nick said, well, you're going to wake up to some shit. And I was like, what? Man so wasn't lying. Awesome. Hey, we are going to play true or false with some NBA draft rumors league-wide. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick moment, tell you guys where you can buy some of our shirts and about the sponsors for the week. What's up, Thunder fans? This is Jacob from the Uncontested podcast, and I'm here to let you know that we have fully redesigned our merch store to get you the best Thunder swag available. Just visit cottonbureau.com and search the Uncontested podcast to find all of our new designs. That's COTTONBUREAU.com and search the Uncontested podcast to find new drops like Josh Giddey's Wizard of Oz or an ode to the Trey Man Step Back. We've also got all the classics like Dortal Combat, Liu Tang Clan, and everyone's favorite MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The best part? You can get any design and the style of apparel you want. So if you're gearing up for the summer and want a tank top, needing a hoodie for the winter in Australia, or you're wanting a Pokemon onesie for your baby, we've got you covered. Make sure to go to cottonbureau.com and search the Uncontested podcast to get your new Thunder gear today. All right, we are back. Hey, those of you watching the live stream in the chat, keep getting those questions in. We would love to answer all your questions at the end of the show. So keep firing them off in the chat, and we will definitely get to that. Gentlemen, it's prime smoke season. It's like Snoop Dogg featuring Willie Nelson up in this bitch right now. So much smoke, we don't know what to do with it, with all these draft rumors.
I was really confused for a second.
I thought it was good.
Wiz Khalifa is opening for this concert.
Yeah. Mitch McGarry's just hanging out in the corner.
The snake and the unicycle.
Trying to unicycle.
He's in between the acts. I want to go through some of these these bigger NBA draft rumors, and I want us to decide true or false. Is this just smoke, or do we think there's legitimate fire to some of these? All right. First one is the Orlando Magic are going to take Jabari Smith Jr. at number 1. From ESPN's Jonathan Givony, quote, NBA executives overwhelmingly expect the Magic to select Smith. Is this one true? Is it an overwhelming kind of situation here that it's going to be Jabari number 1? Or is it false? Do you guys think it is still up in the air in the Orlando front office?
I'm going to put this one as true. I think anything else being announced at the start of the draft would be extremely surprising. However, selfishly, thinking about our live stream numbers, I could just see those going as soon as Orlando picked somebody else other than Jabari. I think that would set off a chaos ripple effect across the league. But I would be very surprised if they do not read out Jabari Smith Jr. first on Thursday.
Yeah, that's true. They're gonna take Jabari. I mean, it's the same story over and over and over. It's like it's the same thing. Everybody's been talking about it for so long, and then at the last second, these last few weeks, it might be this person. No, it's not. It wasn't that person. Especially with organizations that are a little bit more predictable. OKC, obviously, with Sam Presti at the helm, is not predictable. Nobody was really expecting Josh Giddey to be gone till 10 or 11, even though Nick Crane, our own Nick Crane, did say he did have superstar potential. And I think he showed some of that. That was pretty special.
Yep.
But no, I think it's super true. I think
super true.
It's
Super
the
true.
Magic will be reading out Jabari Smith Jr.
So it is rare that I am the devil's advocate on this podcast. However, I am going pretty false, like very false. I was about to say very false. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. I'm pretty strongly false here, and maybe is long time listeners of the Uncontested know that Jake and I have been on the Chet train here for like 6+ months, and still are. The more and more I've dived into it, the more and more I really, really want Chet. Obviously, I would be very excited with Jabari Smith Jr. at pick number 2, but still would have just a little bit of disappointment because we didn't get Chet over with the second pick overall. So I don't know. I think there's the Orlando Magic, like to what you said earlier, Kamiar, the past couple of seasons, especially with the new ownership, they've been pretty closer to the vest than the typical Magic we like to think of. Obviously, there are some connections there to the previous Bucks resume, who valued long, versatile players. And
I can't let it slide. I'm sorry. Resume.
Did you just say resume?
Instead of regime?
Regime.
What is this?
You guys know I'm good for
there's no way. I thought you said. I was like, did he say resume? Did he just say resume?
I tried to hold it together, but I couldn't.
Oh good. My goodness!
It's been a lot of laughs on this podcast.
It's Taylor's bedtime. Just
like
it is.
This show is just completely off the rails.
It's off the rails.
This is what happens.
All of this to say, that is true. It is late. All of that to say, I think the Magic are taking Chet number 1. I really do, and I don't like it.
All right.
I'm going true with Kamiar and Justin. I think some of the pushback is Orlando trying to create some smoke of their own there. Hey, can we kind of float the idea? Oh, we're not decided yet. Maybe Oklahoma City would give us an unprotected future pick to jump up one spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Houston would unload the truck to jump up 2 spots, and we could still get the guy we want. I think it'd be more Oklahoma City wants to take Chet, and they're trying to get OKC to move up 1 spot so Orlando can still get their guy. I think that's where that smoke comes from. But that's just my personal kind of thought there. Next rumor. The Sacramento Kings pick at number 4 is up for grabs. Again, from ESPN, quote, many around the NBA feel that this pick is available for a team looking to swap picks and move up for Jaden Ivey. So the Kings pick available at 4.
I think that's true. I mean, Kings are the Kings. Kings are the Kings. I know there was a recent report that, like, I'm not sure who said this. I can't even remember, but like somebody I was talking to said that they had some connection with a scout. And that I do trust them saying this, but apparently that scout was saying that there is some talk within like the Kings front office that potentially the owner would like to see Jaden Ivey picked at 4, and if they trade out, he wouldn't be very happy. But like, I don't know, that doesn't seem super accurate. I'd be very surprised if the Kings don't trade out of the pick at this point. I think
I know a Kings fan, and his life is miserable. He
God bless him.
for basketball. He really disliked Buddy Hield at Sacramento just because he did not defend at all, even though he's a fantastic bad 3-point shot maker, and everything goes in when he's open. But he says this new front office is a little bit better, but the problem with the Kings is they've been in win now mode for forever, and
except they don't win.
They don't, because they're in win now mode for forever and don't try to, like, effectively do something about it, because not a lot of teams, let's be honest, that Sacramento is the opposite of a destination. I mean, OKC I would think is more of a destination than Sacramento, if we're being quite honest. And so they've been in win now situations, and look where they're at. And so I would expect them to continue that trend, especially after trading for Domantas Sabonis, right? I would expect them to trade out of 4 to get a player, or trade back with a player or something to help out De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis and all those guys. They drafted Davion Mitchell, who spent all 4 years at Baylor, right?
I think that's correct.
And of course, his floor is higher, but his ceiling is lower. And because they want to compete now, that's the issue with the Kings, and that's why they're going to forever suck. So that's why they're going to trade for.
Justin?
I'm gonna put this one as false because of all the reasons you just said, but I reach an opposite conclusion of the Kings not knowing what they want, the Kings not having a solidified direction, the Kings not having strong leadership or vision. I think they pick Ivy at 4, and what they do with Ivy on that roster, I have no idea. But I think it's one of those things where it's like, he's a really tough player. He's got.
Why would you trade Tyrese Halliburton? Just like knowing that Ivy's going to be there.
Listen, I can't bring logic into this. We're talking about the Kings.
They just traded Tyrese Halliburton. You wouldn't need to trade. You wouldn't need to draft Ivy. I mean, like, that would be a bonus, right? That'd be super fun. But like, why would you trade off Tyrese Halliburton? I guess knowing that Ivy might be there and that you could have the odds to select him. I don't know, but
I don't think the Kings have that level of foresight.
The Kings in a nutshell just don't make sense.
Agreed. No sense.
I could see this being one where it's like it gets talked about. It's the trendy pick of like, this one's going to get moved. And then the clock's going to hit 0 on Thursday. There's going to be no Wojram. It's just going to be silence, and then it's going to come out and be like, and the Kings have picked Jaden Ivey.
Oh, okay. I am going this one as true. Justin, I am going basically the exact opposite of you. I think the pick gets on the clock and we get the Woj bomb for the trade. I think normal functioning franchises with I don't want to say a competent front office, with a more shrewd front office and better ownership, I think is the big thing here.
A little more flexibility. For the
Would
front office.
dangle pick number 4, and if an offer came in that was over the top of what their value at 4 was, they trade it, and if not, they make the pick. I think it's opposite for the Kings. I think the Kings are going to wait till the pick is on the clock, and then they're going to take the best offer on the table. I think a lot of teams would say, we're only going to take an offer if it blows us away.
Right.
And I think the Kings are going to say, get your offers in, because the best one, whenever we're on the clock, that's the one we're taking. Because I don't think they have a direction. And when you are directionless, you kind of just throw everything at a wall and try to see what sticks. They don't want to spend 3-4 years with a rookie level player seeing if they stick. They had that with Tyrese Halliburton, who came out publicly and said, I want to be in Sacramento. I want to help the turnaround. Yeah. And then they traded him a year and a half into his career. Like, they're not interested in that.
Yeah.
If the best offer they have is Jeremy Grant for 4, they're going to do it.
Oh, no, they wouldn't. No,
I think it would probably be Jeremy Grant and 5 to jump up to 4. And then the Pistons get back like a Rashawn Holmes or something. I don't know.
That's not terrible.
But I think they're gonna pull the trigger on the best offer on the table whenever pick 4 is on the clock.
I think it would have to be substantial.
Super quick aside, only because I know we have a little bit of time. Aaron mentions a good point in the chat. He says even Jaden Ivey doesn't want to go to Sacramento, and what he's referring to there is the reports that Ivey and his camp aren't sharing medicals. They aren't going there for a workout. But
why would you?
Exactly.
If you're Ivey's representation, again, whenever the Kings call, I say, you had a guy that wanted to be in Sacramento and you traded him a year and a half into his career. Why the hell would I steer my client to you?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to trade us in a year and a half if we're good too?
Especially with the poor developmental track record there. In
Is
Sacramento.
your coach going to be there in a year after you
Straight
let your
up,
GM go?
how is Halliburton gone? And old boy, the center, Marvin Bagley is still there.
Bagley's in Detroit, so they traded him too. To your point,
he was there too. Yeah.
To your point, but my whole point with bringing Aaron's comment up there in the live stream is something that Jake and I also talked about on the call on Friday. And that, look, at a certain point, if you're really trying to turn this ship around, that doesn't matter. Just take the best player available. It doesn't matter. He's locked in. If you draft him, he's locked in. I mean, he does technically. They don't have to sign the contract, I guess. But if you're picked at pick 4, regardless of the team, I promise you're going to sign that contract. And if you can get Jaden Ivey in there, I mean, Davion Mitchell last season didn't share medicals with the Kings either, and he's still there. Had a pretty decent rookie season, a really promising end to his rookie season.
Yeah.
So you get a player like Jaden Ivey in there, you're able to show him, hey, we're really trying to turn this thing around with, new head coach Mike Brown. I'm laughing. I'm laughing as I say that. Head coach Mike Brown. But anyways, the Kings resume, I don't trust them.
Maybe they realize they made a mistake with the Halliburton thing, and they're going to take Ivey like a smart franchise would.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll hit the jackpot next week.
Okay.
Maybe I'll be struck by lightning before the Thunder win a championship.
Thunderstruck. Terrible move.
Boom. Well
Next
done.
rumor. The Portland Trailblazers may look to trade off of pick 7 for a veteran like OG Anunoby or a package around Lou Dort and pick number 12. So Portland trying to trade off 7 to get more of a win now player. Is this one true or false, Come here.
You're about to hear my dogs. But I believe that, Portland's in win now mode too because of Dame. I think they would take a trade. Now, of course, it's not just 12 and Lou. You would have to, I imagine you'd have a couple other guys in there. I think Portland would want a couple of guys in there. But, what? Lou, Kenny,
I think Luke Kenny in 12 gets it done.
In 12 for
For 7?
Yeah, maybe. That would make sense. You would get a solid wing and a guy that is a solid wing defender. So I mean, yeah, but also OG Anunoby. Are you just talking OG Anunoby and just him, or people around?
I don't know
him?
what a package would look like, but if you can
I
get
don't
your hands
remember.
on OG, you do it, right?
I don't even remember what picks the Raptors have in this draft. But yes, it'd probably like that pick and OG.
Portland needs to rebuild. That team is going nowhere. They just need to admit it. And I know they don't want to trade Dame, and I know Dame wants to stay in Portland as what he says. But man, that team is long gone. It needs to be done. I mean, like, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see that trade. I'm expecting them to honestly trade off of it. They've been hinting at it the entire time, especially with Dame. It's like waiting for something to happen, even though Nurkic hates playing for the team after you've seen that exit interview. Of course, CJ's no longer there. You've got Dame, Nurk.
Anthony Simons. And
Great.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No,
yeah, Lou Dort
right.
to that Lou Dort in yeah, that's gonna do you wonders, buddy. So no, I think they'll trade off the pick for a few veterans actually.
It's funny how it's come full circle, because that's basically where the Thunder were when Dame waved goodbye. You were stuck with a roster that you know is not good enough, and you're very limited with avenues to make it better. I think a trade. So to the question, I think this rumor is true. I think the Trailblazers will look to trade this pick for a player, whether it's OG or Lou Dort or a package or somebody else. I don't know,
or a 3-teamer or something like that. I don't know.
I think they look to move. Yeah, Jeremy Grant was kind of the original trade bait there. I think any of those make more sense than a rookie, whoever that rookie is. I think any of those guys are going to make the Trailblazers move a step closer to that goal. I don't think a rookie coming in makes Dame excited, even if he's an exciting rookie. I think back to, when the Thunder were stuck and the guys that they brought in, and our reactions to that, very underwhelming, because you just realize, like, that guy, like Terrence Ferguson ain't turning this ship around, and you know that. And now whoever the Trailblazers could get at 7's probably better than Terrence Ferguson. But somebody like an OG or a Jeremy Grant is certainly better and certainly helps you get there, even if I think we all kind of feel like they're probably not going to get there. But what choice do you have?
Well, and the interesting thing about this is we're talking about maybe they shouldn't bring in a rookie. Maybe they should go get a veteran who can try to help them win now, even though we personally think it's probably time to hit the reset button for that team. But just back in February, they traded away veterans for a young guy and a pick. They sent out Robert Covington. They sent out Norman Powell. They brought back a second rounder in Keon Johnson and Eric Bledsoe, who hasn't been good for like half a decade, and Justice Winslow. We talked about the Kings not having a direction. Like, I'm kind of confused on which way are we going here, Portland? It's like you're driving home from the bar at 3 a.m. drunk all over the lane. Like, where are you going to turn? I don't know.
But that's why everybody was so mystified at the trade deadline, right?
It's a good point.
I think Portland's trying to do both, which we talked about with the beginning of this Thunder rebuild, right? On this podcast, we talked about how that is kind of the kiss of death. You can't really do both. Indiana Pacers kind of found themselves in a similar situation when they brought Carlisle in, who is a very competitive coach who apparently wasn't on board with the whole tank situation. But then we saw them do a really solid move, which was sending out Sabonis to bring in a Tyrese Halliburton. And now we see them kind of trying to rebuild around that, potentially sending out Miles Turner. We'll see how it ends up. But I think the Blazers are in a similar situation. And I really think it's true. I think they are looking to trade that 7th overall pick. I think it's likely that they do. But to your guys' points, like, I'm not sure that is the right thing to do here. You guys mentioned, the trading for Paul George, trading Paul George away. But I really think back to, the whole Russell Westbrook MVP season. And after that season was over, Presti's exit interview where he's talking about, our best opportunity here to improve is internal development with some of these young guys, Aldipo getting better, Sabonis getting better, etc. And then we end up with Paul George that offseason. He was able to capitalize off of some of these players' worth and trade value. And I think the Blazers would be smart to do the same thing. But
I just don't know if
both of
the
your guys'
Blazers
points,
have
or all three
those.
of your guys' points, I think they're a little too late. Yeah.
The Blazers don't have those. They don't have a Victor Oladipo on a rookie scale deal. They don't
have Simons.
Yeah. He's
but
due.
What is that? Yeah,
he's up for a contract extension, though,
I agree.
Apparently, they're linked to like DeAndre Jordan for a sign and trade. How does that happen?
That's so gross.
What do they have to trade?
They're linked to Jeremy Grant, and honestly, I think that's gross too. Yeah. That's not getting you anywhere.
Justin, our last rumor roundup, true or false? Or sorry, not the last one, second to last one. The OKC Thunder are aggressively pursuing trades for pick number 12, including future picks or current players like Lou Dort.
You could have ended that sentence after saying aggressively pursuing trades, and I would have said true. Fill in the blank for pick 12, for pick 2, for pick 34, for Lou Dort, for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Yes. The answer is yes. Sam Presti is aggressively looking at any and every option. That's what a good general manager should do. He's not necessarily hoping to make that move, but you got to know what the offer on the table would be. You got to know what all your choices are. You can't make the right choice. So I think aggressively pursuing trades for pick 12, absolutely. Would I be surprised if on draft night they just pick at 12? Not at all. But I think that they're looking at any and every option on the table, and they're going to pick whichever one they feel best suits them. If they can get an asset and move back and still get their guy, they're going to do it. If they can package some people together and go get somebody they didn't feel they could get at 12, they're going to do that. And if they're just happy to stand pat and go get their guy at 12, they're going to do that too.
Could not agree more. And just kind of add on to that, I mentioned this again on some of the call-ins we've been doing, so be sure to go and download the call-in app. But Jacob, you put together that exercise we did here, what was that, 3 weeks ago, where we went through each pick above pick 12 from I think 6, maybe 5 through 12. And we laid out a blueprint trade that Presti, could, hypothetically negotiate to try and move up to said pick. Because our theory there is that Presti has that in place for all these picks, or as many picks as possible. So that way, if a certain player, to Justin's point, that's very high on their board falls to a certain position where they think it's worth trading up for, they can go ahead and green light that trade and call that team and move up. So I cannot agree more, Justin. That I think that's I think the rumors are very true. But to your point, he's probably actively exploring trading back too. Like, that's just Sam Presti and like Justin says, being a good GM.
Yep, it's true. They're aggressively. I mean, that's Presti. That's what you have to do, especially as a small market team. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything else.
The idea of Lou Dort possibly being included in a package to move up is a very divisive topic amongst the Thunder fan base right now. Taylor and I have talked about that a lot on different shows. Justin, we haven't had you on to discuss that topic yet. What are your thoughts on Lou Dort being included in a trade? A lot of Thunder fans would say you can't trade Lou Dort. He's young. He's a great defensive player. He's a guy that brings you value in a playoff series. You got to keep guys like those. Other sides of the fan base would say everyone's expendable if you can go get a top tier type of guy that you think is going to become an all-star. Where do you fall in that debate?
Well, first off, if they trade Lou, we're going to have to reboot half our merch store, which is something I know we've joked about internally. We have a lot of Lou merch. He lends himself well to some pop culture puns. But I think in terms of looking at it, where I come from is the debate centers around he's the most enticing, realistic trade piece. Obviously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, probably Josh Giddey, gets you better returns. But I think most people have accepted that's probably not going to happen. They're as close to untouchable as somebody gets on this team, which leads you to Lou Dort. You got to give something out if you want to get something back. And I think that when you look at this roster, you look at what he brings, you look at the contract situation, knowing that, he's going to be due for a new contract soon. You can start to wrap your head around why he's involved in these trade talks. Now, should he be? I tend to lean towards the camp that I don't think he gets moved. I think that he brings a lot of value. I think Sam Presti sees that value. I think the uncertainty about the new CBA puts an interesting dynamic on the whole situation. I think maybe it knowing that there's going to be, new salary cap evaluations and things to factor in. And given how OKC got burned by that previously, maybe you slow play this a little bit and you look at other options. I think there's a scenario in which OKC can move up from 12 without trading Lou Dort. It's just a matter of how far. If you're trying to swing for the fences and go get Jaden Ivey, I'm not sure there's another guy on the roster that helps get you there other than Lou Dort. And I'm not sure Lou Dort gets you there. But if it's a more modest move up, just like cracking into the top 10, maybe there's a package of players and picks that doesn't include Lou Dort that can get you there. But I think that's where the discussion centers around. I get why people are upset. I would be like personally, emotionally upset because I love Lou and I love all our stupid shirts that we made with him. But I get it. Like I totally understand it from kind of a logical trade bait standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, like it makes sense. I mean, Lou is the guy. Like, you're not gonna trade Shea, really.
Well done,
You're not gonna trade Shea. You're not gonna trade. You're not gonna trade Josh. And my biggest thing this entire these last 2.5, 3 weeks is I don't think OKC is gonna trade Lou. I think they're gonna sit pat and pick a 12. And my biggest thing has been I don't care what OKC picks at 2. I trust Presti with top 3 picks. I mean, he's shown he's done pretty well at those.
Yeah.
In the past, and they have a great eye for talent. I'm more on the line that they better nail pick 12 because Lou is an asset, and there are plenty of players still within that lottery, still within that area that could still help the Thunder. Maybe soon, maybe now. I mean, Trey Mann was out of the lottery, and he is a guy that can develop into something really, really special. So it's just one of those things. I think they stay pat. I think they stick with Lou. But I could see them, like it's being reported as from Portland, maybe. Oh, seven in Lou for 12. Yeah. Because OKC, they're not reporting that. They're tight-lipped.
Well, the whole Jake Fisher said that he had called an OKC guy who told him, if you're going to run with that story about Lou being in the conversation to trade up, make sure to say that it's
it's
from Portland's
king.
side.
I love that term.
It's from Portland side. They are driving that conversation. If I worked for the Thunder and Jake called me, I would tell him the same thing. Even if we were actively saying, will you guys take Lou and 12 for 7? Yep. I would be telling Jake, it's not coming from our side.
I don't know, right? Jacob. I've been told that there's no way that he was able to contact somebody within the Thunder.
Who knows? Who knows? I think Lou is at that perfect intersection of he's good enough that you want to keep him on your team, but he's the best thing that has value for you to trade to actually get something substantial. I think that's kind of where that crossroads is at. Like, as much as I like Trey Mann, I don't think he has that high of trade value across the league right now.
Yet.
Right?
But no, I agree completely.
Yeah, he could get there. But I think as far as gettable assets from OKC for a move up from 12, Lou is the only piece on this team that makes sense. I mean, shout out to the people that are in my mentions that are saying, oh, I'll take Lou Dort out, make it Teo Maladon, and I do that trade. You know what, buddy? I would do that trade too. But you couldn't give Teo Maladon away, right? You have to give up something to get something. I think Lou is the only player on this team, the only tangible person, not a theoretical draft pick, that can actually move you up. And for that reason, I think there's a chance.
I agree with that. But the only reason I go ahead and bring up a track question here, I think we have one more, true or false. But I thought this was very relevant to something a point that Justin brought up when he gave his true or false here. Samuel asked, how do you keep Lou but move up from 12? And to Justin's point, I think there is a way to do both, right? Offer Lou and pick 12 to move up, maybe an additional asset, or keep Lou, but like throw, all the treasure chest of assets to try and move up to that spot if the right guy is there. The issue though is like, yes, as Thunder fans, as people who cover the team, that makes sense in a vacuum. But what about the other offers that are coming in? Like Kamier mentioned, what if the Pistons are willing to, for pick number 4, if we're talking Jaden Ivey, like what if they're willing to offer Jeremy Grant and pick 5 and an additional asset? Like you're going to have to up the ante there, to use a poker term. So,
well, and if Portland is bought in on competing now versus rebuilding, they don't want future draft picks. That doesn't help them compete now.
Yep.
Great point.
Now, if they could flip those future assets this summer into tangible pieces, that's one thing. But future draft picks isn't going to help Portland push for the playoffs next year.
Yeah, I don't think Lou moves the needle too much for them.
Yeah,
and it starts to the playoffs. I mean, like Lou is a very, very nice player, on a nice complementary player on a good team. Right now, OKC sucks. And he looks really good because he's playing a lot of minutes offensively. I mean, you've seen what he can do. You've seen him improve his handle and his 3-point shooting, and you know what you're getting in his defense because that's what you got his first year. And like when he was playing G League games and then coming back up to the actual, Thunder and playing in playoff games, So I mean, but he's not. He's not like a Chris Middleton. He's not going to be a second guy. He's not going to be a sidekick that to Dame that's going to kick it over. I mean, on a team in Portland, what you have Dame, Nurk, Simons, and then Lou that you're going to have to pay. Is that what you want?
Yeah, Kamier, let me ask you this. I've talked to Taylor a little bit about this. Let's do this one real quick, and then we're going to hit some questions in the chat. Last season in OKC, Dort played 51 games. In those 51 games, he took an average of 14 field goal attempts a game and scored 17.2 points per game. Does he ever hit those numbers again in his career? 14 field goal attempts per game for a season or 17 points a game for a season?
Not if he's playing for a winning team.
It's kind of where I'm at. Like people kind of gas up those numbers, but at the end of the season, like again, they weren't playing anybody, right? He had the green light because if you swing the ball, you're swinging it to Vít Krejci or Teo Maledon. No. I think he probably hit his offensive peak last season as far as volume. And I think people kind of read into that. Oh, he's a 17-point scorer and he's only going to get better. He's not getting those attempts anymore. On this team, next year, like Shea, Josh, pick 2, pick 12, maybe Trey Mann, all those guys are getting more shots than Dort. Dort's going to get like maybe half of those attempts.
Now, just to protect us from the angry Thunder mob coming for us after this podcast, Lou is still obviously a very valuable player, which is why we're mentioning him in these hypothetical trades, because he's a
very
if he
sucks,
solid
he wouldn't get you a move up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. We just expect him to be. It's great to see him have this improvement.
Why are you trying to apologize? It's fine.
No, I know.
It's okay in saying that I like Lou Dort.
I like Lou Dort.
Right? It's okay. No, you're apologizing to people like, hey, listen, we're not trying to say that. We're trying to because all the blowback, because all the Thunder fans that clutch their pearls at the thought of trading Lou Dort. It's like it's the NBA.
I'm not worried about
business.
Facebook. Okay,
I'm just saying it's so ridiculous.
Love Lou, and Lou is still very valuable. Like I think it's fair to make the point that like Lou could be playing for a playoff team in the NBA playoffs due to his defensive ability. And if he's able to show this shooting on percentages on lower attempts, especially if he's spotting up in the corner for a team, I think he's very valuable. But like, I'm willing to trade him to take a swing on a player higher up if you think he's going to be a star.
I think I can sum this up for us very easily. If Sam Presti is willing to trade Lou Dort to go get a guy in this draft, we would all assume that Presti got the guy he wanted, right? He's not pulling that trigger to get a guy he doesn't want. And B, I think we would all trust Sam Presti's scouting, his insight, his intuition, and his front office that they are taking a chance on somebody that they think can be very, very special.
Yep. Like the buzz that they potentially offered Lou Dort to go get Evan Mobley last year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they offer shady Evan Mobley. Like, I think
like, yeah, I mean, is anyone crying over Lou Dort if that happens? I don't think so.
Exactly.
No, good point.
All right, let's hit some of these questions in the chat before we get out of here, guys. First one, Eamon A says, what's the percentage that Presti drafts someone that we haven't talked about? Play the percentage. So
80%.
At 2 and 12, or are you talking 34?
He didn't specify. That's a loophole.
That's a good point.
No,
I
would say that earlier I didn't get to it, but my gut feeling is that at 12, if OKC doesn't move up to go fetch somebody, they draft at 12 and they draft somebody whose name we've never said on this podcast.
Caleb Houston at pick 12, baby.
Dude, I would.
Well, now he's out because you.
Yeah, that's right. We just mentioned him.
Yep.
I mean, like, is this for all the picks, or is this for?
Sure, Eamon didn't specify.
Jesus. I mean, then 100%. You don't know who they're picking at 34.
Yeah, they're gonna pick that Italian guy at 34.
You don't even know if they're gonna pick at 34.
That's
They're
right.
gonna draft.
You know,
They're gonna draft Bo Cruz out of Spain.
yeah.
Did you read that quote from both Adam Sandler and Wancho that Wancho was supposed to dunk on Ant Edwards, like in one of those scenes, and it took like 10 takes because Ant was like, "Nah,
you're not doing that."
They were like, "No, it's in the script," and he was like, "You ain't dunking." I'd go to war for Ant Edwards.
So good.
All right, let's rapid fire through some of these. Blake says, have heard about the possibility of Mitchich. I'm about to block the word Mitchich on twitter.com just so you guys are aware. I've heard about the possibility of Mitchich being included in a potential trade to the Pelicans. Do you think him and the 12th could be enough to move up to 8? No. Or would 34 and a protected first be needed? Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Mitchich is nothing more than a sweetener. Like I think Fassini said it well on a recent podcast. Might have been the Athletic show on Saturday, where he was talking about, like, you know, his value could be anywhere from like a low first round pick being the very, very best case scenario to like a pretend second rounder. So yeah, I agree.
I don't buy that he's coming over.
He's an older point. He's an older guard.
Yep.
I mean,
28. I think.
Yeah,
Making
yeah.
good
I
money
think it's
overseas,
28.
yeah.
And I don't see that. I mean, he would have to throw in something more substantial. Like, you maybe not have to throw in Dort for 8 at that point. I mean, if they're trying to trade back a little bit, you could at that time, like, you know, Baisley and Kenny could get you 8 maybe.
Yeah,
Baze has
is what you're saying.
Baze has more blocks than fouls, and was actually pretty coming into his role as a wing defender. So
hey, he hit a spin move and a dunk in a rec league game the other night.
Shut up. But no, not Mitchich. No, there's no way.
I saw a New Orleans guy mention, like, what if New Orleans would take Mitchich in 12 from the Thunder for 8, and the Thunder eating the next 3 years of Devontae Graham's contract?
I mean, if the Thunder are rumored to wanting to win now, that'd be fun. And again, you would be crowding your backcourt, and then that would kill a lot of Jaden Ivey talk.
I think Devontae Graham will get butt out in that situation.
I don't see him playing for OKC.
Let's move on. Colin asks, outside of the consensus top 5, the big 3, Sharp and Ivy. That's his top 5, big 3, Sharp and Ivy. Who has the highest potential ceiling?
Matherin, for the reasons I said earlier. I also really like Dyson Daniels. I'll let you guys take the floor there.
I'm going to go with Matherin here.
I'm going to go Dyson Daniels just to be different.
Also a good pick. I love Daniels as well.
if Usman Jang didn't, if you made one of his 2 left feet a right foot, it would be him.
Touche.
May I give an honorable mention for Dalen Terry?
All right. Jack says that he saw me accidentally put that comment up on Twitter and had to come over to YouTube to comment. Thank you,
Incredible.
Jack.
That's awesome.
K Cicero 20 says, if we stay at 12, who is the guy we haven't talked about at all that we will pick, a la Trey Mann from last year? I think Dalen Terry's the answer.
Yes. Yes.
But by talking about him, you just ruled it out.
There you go.
I know, and I'm devastated. But,
This one-
I love Dalen.
This
That's a good
one's
question.
wild to me. Adam Howe says, saw this on r/Thunder. Because of course you did. Would you trade Dort for pick 8 straight up?
I mean,
Yes.
I would.
Yes.
Yes.
The other
My-
team wouldn't.
I don't know. They might have to throw in another unprotected first.
Yeah.
But
I was going to make a joke. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Then why'd you say anything?
Do what?
Why say anything?
I really want to make it. I'm like, it's taking a lot of willpower to
It's
not
like
make
that.
this joke.
It's
right
like that meme of the guy that's straining all the veins in his neck and
now.
his
That's
head.
me right now.
Yeah, okay, it's a great one.
Here's a trivia question from Eamon. Interesting stat. Jabari Smith Jr. is the second freshman in NCAA men's basketball to shoot 73s and 100 free throws. Can you guess who the other guy was?
Was it Kevin Durant? He played a crap ton under Rick Barnes.
I have no clue who the answer is here.
Oh,
Yeah, I
feel
don't
I've
even
seen
know
this
where to take
recently.
that.
Yeah, that's that's a really good one. Eamon, throw it in the chat. Kevin Durant. It was
There
Kevin
it
Durant.
is.
Well done,
Hey,
Eamon.
look at
Very
Coney on.
good,
This is why
Dude,
we pay
Kevin
Coney
would
the big
drop
bucks.
30 a night at Texas. That's
Do you
like
remember when he went up
he
and
was
played against
doing
Oklahoma
stuff-
State in that double OT game?
he
I
was
do.
doing stuff that was like unheard of in college. Like
Yeah.
you could tell he was definitely the number 1 overall pick.
He was the guy.
So thank you, Portland, for those nice years that we had.
Yes. Plual 226. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. I apologize. Says, I'd like to hear from each of you. What would you want the Thunder to do if Orlando picked Paulo first and we were forced to choose between Jabari and Chet?
Easy. Chet.
I'm Chet in the bed, baby.
I think I'm sorry for Jabari.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a fun one. If they did, oh gosh, because Jabari is a big wing. He could be. I mean, he's a legitimate guy that could catch fire pretty quickly. I mean, like he's a guy who could be in the corner. He's a guy you can put in pick and rolls. He's a guy you can do a lot of things with. I really like Jabari a lot. Before he was the number 1 pick, I like because Chet was number 1 for the longest time, and then then it turned into Jabari. So I would say probably Jabari.
Okay.
And
I like the split.
see what happens with pick 12, or maybe you move up and pick a big at pick 7 or 8.
Bonzo says, non-draft related question. Best Josh Giddey comp. Is his ceiling tall
Ooh,
Jason Kidd?
that's so hard.
Hmm.
Here at the end of a podcast, man.
Yeah, I have no clue what to do with this one. This is a full podcast question.
Tall Pistol Pete.
Whoa. That's quite a comp.
They're both white with
That's
like
also known as
beautiful hair.
Magic Johnson.
Also known as Magic.
I mean, I don't know. It's like
There's some magic in poor man's Magic Johnson, which is like a really
Nah.
good thing. I don't know.
Non-AIDS Magic Johnson.
Dude.
okay. It's HIV. Get it
God,
right.
That's true. I'm sorry.
And there's medicine now. Okay.
Okay. I held
have
my
no
tongue
idea.
on the last inappropriate joke, so I get to fire this one.
Oh
off.
no.
No,
We should have ended the pod.
No.
You know the clip of
Oh no.
oh my gosh, why am I forgetting the
I don't
guy's
want to
name
talk
now?
about this.
He's on Hot Ones on YouTube where he's eating the hot
Yes,
wing and he starts
yeah.
coughing.
Yeah.
Idris Elba.
Paul Rudd.
No, the one of Idris Elba where he's like trying to talk and he keeps coughing because like
Yes.
the wing is so hot.
Yeah.
Someone tweeted that video and says the mosquito after it bites Magic Johnson.
It's
inappropriate.
It's Idris Elba, by the way, isn't it?
Oh,
But-
regardless, it was a funny name. Draft-related question
Oh
from
my
Bonzo.
God.
Who is your
Resume,
ideal, realistic
jeez.
fit along with Chet? He says, I'd love Sohan to go all in on that tough defensive presence.
Quick answer: yes.
OKC was already 16th in the NBA in defense last year. And you're just going to keep on adding more to the defense. And then, a little more spice with some Chet on offense. That's fun.
Sohan
like
scares me
Sohan.
because of the shooting. Like, what if Josh's shot
Agreed.
also never comes along? You're
Agreed.
really limiting yourself.
Josh's shot's going to come along. Don't worry. Just like
I like-
Ricky
I'd be happy-
Rubio's did.
I like JRE and Chet sharing a front court together.
I like that too.
And then you
But I'd be
get
happy
one
with
of those
Sohan at,
wings
like,
at 12. Eric Hoffman says, what better offers for number 4 are out there from other lottery teams? Does OKC even have the best offer? I don't
Great
think
point.
so, because Indiana has 6.
Yep.
Detroit has 5. They're teams that want to trade up. I think they have an easier path to get there, obviously.
Agreed.
There's only like so much that future picks can get you.
I've got a
agree.
better offer that OKC could do. Just give him pick 2.
Get
That would
out
be
of
better.
here.
That's actually it's a fair,
yeah.
fair answer to the question.
You wanted Ivy.
Fair answer to
Fluall
the question.
226 says, when will we hear about the protections on the Nuggets pick with JaMychal Green? I think I can offer a little
night.
bit of insight here. The one of two things is going to happen. Either it's going to come across tomorrow, that trade will become official because JaMychal Green had until June 20th to pick up the last year, his option for his contract, his last year of his contract. That has to be picked up for the trade to happen. Or it happens draft night because they leave the trade kind of out there in the ether in case they need to expand it on draft night. So it's going to be one of those two.
You got to always protect the Nuggets, bro.
100%. Kay Cicero says, would you guys be upset if we traded up for pick number 4 and we drafted Shaden Sharp instead of Jaden Ivey?
Yes.
Yes.
You have to give up more stuff to get to number 4. Shaden's going to be there at like 6 or 7.
But then I'd quickly sell myself on Shaden Sharp.
Shaden Sharp.
I'm very curious. Traded up for 4 and drafted Sharp. Okay, my bad. I was really confused by the language there. Instead of trading back, I thought he meant like trade up from 2 to 4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no.
It gets confusing.
Yes, I would be very upset and angry and very confused.
Yeah. That would just be like a wild overpay. Adam asks, if the Kangs, I love how he said Kangs instead of Kings. If the Kangs called, would you trade Josh Giddey for Jaden Ivey straight up?
No.
Ooh.
No. I like Ivy a lot.
Are you guys
different
sure?
prospects.
That's real fun.
Very
I
different
know.
prospects.
It is very fun.
It's a fun
that's not like I
thought.
shut it down immediately. Like
What can he?
I like
What
Ivy.
can Jaden Ivey become versus what can
Giddey
Josh Giddey become?
So my answer
It's a really
to that,
interesting one.
yes, I don't know either of their ceilings, and I think they're
Yeah,
both
well,
very high.
And
That's what's
here's,
so tough.
they're so different. Here's one. Does this come into play at all? I don't know.
Which one compliments Shea more?
That's a good question. Does Presti have different plans for Shea down the road?
Yep.
Also, the way Jaden Ivey plays, Kamiar and I talked about this yesterday morning at Pickup Hoops. The way Jaden Ivey plays, similar to Jaw, similar to Russ. Once that athleticism goes, you're done. Meanwhile, like Josh could play in the league till he's like 40.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh doesn't jump. We watched the dude dunk it twice last year, and he's 6'8".
You have to adapt.
He's not 6'8".
And you can adapt. D-Wade adapted
6'10".
for the most part. Like, you can age gracefully. Russ has not. Jaden might.
Yeah, Jaw might. Who knows?
Jaw might.
Brandon Roy didn't. Derrick Rose sure as
that's
shit
a
didn't.
different conversation.
Jabari Parker
Derrick Rose
didn't.
kind of did, I feel like.
Zion
All
didn't.
things
Oops, too soon.
considered.
Yeah.
All things considered, Derrick Rose drastically changed his game.
D-Wade
his-
changed his game.
Yeah.
D-Wade
And
was
he
a
made
good
his
one.
career last like 10 years longer.
Parker asks, if all teams knew how well Dort developed, where do you think he would go in this draft?
That's a great question.
I think it depends on which team is developing him.
It's true. If you could,
So, like, if we're saying he
if
played
you
another
knew
year
Dort,
of college,
if we rewound 3 years, we took Dort from 3 years ago, but you knew this was going to be the development track. Where would he go this year?
I think he goes above. This is kind of spicy. Does he go above AJ Griffin? Because he's essentially.
I think he goes like top 20, top 15. He might be like a late lotto guy, which is
Agreed.
probably AJ Griffin range.
I was thinking the 10 through 15 range.
I was thinking like, yeah, somewhere between 12 and 17, 18.
I think that's fair.
He's good.
I'm trying to see if we have any more questions in here. Our guy Matt Clarkson. Do you think Holmgren truly wants to come to OKC, or is Bill Duffy managing expectations if his client doesn't go first?
This
That's a really good
Holmgren
question.
is Bill Duffy telling him to constantly interact with Thunder players on Instagram?
It's a good question. He and Giddy are like, they need to
He and
get
Giddy are
naked and
giddy.
do it already. How much
They're
they're
giddy
flirting.
for each other.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't want to know what
I
those
think-
DMs look like.
My answer to Matt would be I think there is some validity there for the reason that Russillo gave on his podcast, where he mentioned like the big thing for these prospects, right, is getting to that next max contract that these rookies can get. And Duffy, a longtime agent, right, represented Nash, represented Yao Ming. He knows how this works. And there's a lot of opportunity here in OKC. That's not to say that Chet would get here and like immediately want to leave. I'm not saying that at all, but there's a much clearer path to him getting that max contract that Shea got. And so I think that would be my answer. I think there's some validity there compared to some PR, kind of to Matt's question.
I'd rather go to OKC than Orlando.
Right now?
No, like no.
Orlando
I mean,
doesn't even have a beach.
I'll take a
They're
Disney
far
World
from it.
trip, but if I'm a top prospect, I look at the two and I think I'd rather end up in OKC.
Oh, I mean, like, yeah. The unfortunate part about OKC is that everything's excellent except it's OKC.
Yeah.
If it was like another market like Memphis, because of the way the organization is run, it would be different.
All right, we got two more. Let's burn through these last two and then get off the pod because it's been a long pod. If we would have traded for Mobley last year, would we have been close to the play-in last year, like the Cavs were? And then also, would you rather have Giddey and Chet or Mobley and say AJ Griffin? This is a hard one because we've seen Mobley in the league. We haven't seen Chet or AJ in the league. I really don't know which way to go on this.
So
Giddey,
my
Chet.
My
Giddey,
answer
Chet.
would be we would not have been close to the playing Cavs because I think that would have consisted of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. And would you rather have Giddey, Chet, or Mobley and say AJ Griffin? Like I think there's a world there where you have Mobley, assuming you traded for Shea, and then I think this draft they would absolutely go for Jaden Ivey if Shea isn't on this team because they traded for
Mobley's
Mobley.
really freaking good, dude.
Yeah.
Mobley is pretty good, but I mean, if you traded for Mobley, you're not getting Josh Giddey, right? So it'd be Shea, and you had
Shea and
Mobley, and
six.
OKC's still gonna be tanking like they did this year with Shea
my gosh.
and Josh.
Mobley, Wembanyama, Kamiar. Can you imagine?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
and so
Hype team.
no, wouldn't have been play-in. Would have been the same situation. Sam Presti's was going to go full tank this past year, no matter what. I would rather have Giddey and Chet or Mobley and AJ Griffin. That sounds pretty easy. It seems pretty easy to me.
Last one from Adam Howe. Realistic dream scenario for draft night.
I get the players I want.
Indeed.
Oh,
Indeed.
lighter flick. Lil Wayne over here.
Mine is Chet Holmgren. I'm all in on the upswings. Let's do Chet Holmgren, Shaden Sharp. I'm ready.
Yeah,
that
there
was
it
my
is.
answer. Me and Jacob have been like, in sync on this for a while. I'm with you. So it's like Justin's in agreement, or just like the idea of the upswing.
dream scenario, Jabari And Matherin?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd
I love
go.
Matherin.
That's
I
a lot of
would go
athleticism.
Chet and Matherin.
I like Matherin a lot, man.
I do too.
Ringo5 said if we draft Chet, do you think he will be able to guard Jokic and Embiid in the future? I love that video of Chet Holmgren doing video breakdowns, film breakdowns with Mike Schmitz. And Schmitz says, I think one question people have is this guy going to be able to guard Joel Embiid? And you hear Chet start laughing in the background. And Mike says, you're laughing. Why are you laughing? And Chet goes, well, I mean, the dude averaged 30 for a reason.
Nobody
that-
can guard
that's-
Embiid.
That's kind of been my thing is people say,
Sign
he's
me
too
up.
small. He can't guard Embiid. I'm like, shit, dude. Who in the league can guard Embiid? There's like
Right.
3 guys.
That's such a BS kind of like talking point. Oh, Chet's skinny. Like, oh yeah. Have you seen pictures of all the great NBA players their first years in the league? Look at LeBron his first year in the league, and look
Anthony
at LeBron
Davis is a
now.
great one.
Look at Anthony Davis. Look at Giannis. Look at Kevin Durant. Look at literally everybody that is a forward or even guards. They were all very small. Now, of course, Chet is probably going to play power forward. That wouldn't surprise me at all for a while, until he puts on a little bit more weight. But I mean, yeah, 7 years in the league, I think with the same amount of experience, I think Chet could probably guard Jokic or Embiid. But as coming in the league right now, of course, he's going to have some shortcomings. He's going to be in the right position in the right places, but he's going to get bullied out of getting the ball just because of his stature. You can be in the right position in the right place, but in boxing out, but that doesn't mean you have the strength to do it. So I think you'll see a little bit of that. But do I think he's going to be able to guard mid-range in the post, in the perimeter? Yes, I think it's going to be a pretty good prospect for OKC. And I think that's what primarily is why a lot of people think OKC is going to take Chet. I mean, OKC needs a big with a high IQ that can do a lot of stuff on offense. And he can alter shots, and he can play around the perimeter on defense, and he can do a lot of things, and they can even hone those skills in a little bit better. And he's also pretty young. So, I mean, just all makes sense.
Will he be able to guard Jokic and Embiid? Well, those guys were 1 and 2 in the MVP voting for a reason, right?
I think he can protect the rim against them.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. The live chat was popping. We had a lot of people in here. We greatly, greatly appreciate that for a late night show. Come join us tomorrow, Monday night. We'll be on the Call-In app. You can either download the app and make a profile and follow us and interact on there, or you can just listen in. If you don't have the app, we'll tweet the link out. Wednesday night, we're going to do our draft predictions, 8 p.m. And then Thursday, the big day. We're going to be here with you guys all week, breaking down every latest mock draft, every rumor, everything. So keep it plugged right here to the Uncontested. Go join our mock draft contest on the Mockout app. We'll tweet out the link. Be on the lookout for some of our giveaways coming up this week. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you very soon. Until then, and as always, Thunder up!